Sponsored in part by
China.
From Rude Dude, ban assault questions.
We definitely have here evidence of cult activity. The idea, though, that somebody draws a pentagram and that makes them a Satanist is clearly wrong. You can draw a pentagram too, and you can be a totally religious Christian. Also, not all pentagrams are even satanic in form. There are other traditions like Wicca that use pentagrams, and it would be incapable of an outsider to actually tell who drew it up for a ritual purpose.
All reports regarding finders are to be classified secret. Meanwhile, DC Metro Police and U.S. Customs Service agents raid other finders' properties, including a duplex apartment building and a warehouse in Washington, D.C. Police reports and articles from 1987 indicate that the DC police removed large plastic bags filled with color slides, photographs, and photographic contact sheets from the warehouse. Some of the photos were of naked children. U.S. Customs spokesman David Hoover tells the Post, quote, "We're not saying it's pornographic, but it has all the earmarks," end quote. A U.S. Customs Service report describes some of the photos as showing blood rituals,
and it would be incapable of an outsider to actually tell who drew it up for a ritual purpose,
involving children slaughtering goats while adults in white robes watch.
By the way, I checked this. Now, this guy put together this video, and I was like, all right, I knew a bit about the finders, but he had a nice summary kind of at the beginning, what I want to show you. But I was like, is there really an article from the Associated Press from 1987 saying the children were involved in goat-killing rituals? Yes! Go ahead and enter and Google the fucking title, Finder's Photo Album Shows Children Killing Goats, and this article is real.
Was it someone who was involved with Crowley-style occult bullshit? Was it a Wiccan?
Today, in England, witchcraft and its more modern incarnation, Wicca, are pagan religions. Wiccans worship the gods and spirits of nature. In return for their faith, the spirits grant them the power of magic.
Was it a Satanist? You're not going to be able to tell. The idea that there's a cult that snatches children and operates in the name of Satan is less compelling in these releases than that there's a cult that snatches children. I was an independent Satanist for several years. The idea that that involves any degree of ritualism in the realistic sense is wrong. There is no real ritualism because it's understood to be an atheistic mock-up, basically, of Catholicism. Let me ask you something. If you claim that this is the result of secret Satanists, the result will not be the same as if you say, oh, the politicians alive today are abusing people. They're not doing it for Satanism, they're doing it because they're corrupted individuals, and it extends to the highest levels of government.
There were numerous photos of children, some nude, at least one of which was a photo of a child on display and appearing to accent the child's genitals. I was only able to examine a very small amount of the photos at this time. He also states that another officer showed him a photo album that contained a series of photos of adults and children dressed in white sheets participating in a blood ritual. Martinez says the photos showed the execution, disembowelment, skinning, and dismemberment of 2 goats at the hands of the children.
It's not just some random FBI figure. It's not just some random person who happens to have made rock music in the 80s. It's at the highest levels of society. You will get criticized as a conspiracy theorist and potentially deplatformed. But I've never seen anybody get deplatformed for simply saying, oh, Satan did it. Satan done it. Well, that's the claim that was made back in the 80s. Again, where's the compelling evidence of this? A pentagram in a tunnel under a preschool is ominous, but it's not evidence of satanic ritualism.
Another officer showed him a photo album that contained a series of photos of adults and children dressed in white sheets participating in a blood ritual. Martinez says the photos showed the execution, disembowelment, skinning, and dismemberment of 2 goats at the hands of the children.
Please disperse! Nothing to see here, please!
The concept that symbol is even perpetually used by groups like the Church of Satan for any real ritualistic purpose is simply wrong. In fact, if you read the Satanic Bible, and I'm going to assume that most people responding to this probably haven't, it explicitly forbids 2 of the things that are alleged here, which are abuse of children and abuse of animals. If you've got those going on, you cannot doctrinally reconcile that behavior with the Church of Satan at least, and that represents the majority of Satanists self-proclaimed.
I believe that man creates gods in accordance with his own needs, and if he doesn't, someone else will create them for him.
Who or what is Satan to you?
Satan is the essence of that which dwells within myself.
Would you explicate this?
Satan is the pioneer, the inventor, Prometheus. Satan has always been the scapegoat, the other, as Thomas Saz, the psychiatrist, calls him. He has always been the opposition to what has been established at the time. The counterbalance that creates change, that creates evolution, that sets the climate socially for modification. Because without this so-called evil, there could be no change.
If you're talking about people who say, yes, I'm a Satanist, ha ha ha, and they chop the head off a cat, they're not accepted by the Church of Satan, and they're not accepted by most sane, independent Satanists.
What the fuck?
My own ties to Satanism are as follows. I was never a member of the Church of Satan, and I'm not really in defense of them because I had a little bit of a fracas with Peggy Nadramia years ago. I was an independent Satanist for several years. The idea that involves any degree of ritualism in the realistic sense is wrong. There is no real ritualism because it's understood to be an atheistic mock-up, basically, of Catholicism. It's understood to be an atheistic mock-up, basically, of Catholicism. It's understood to be an atheistic mock-up, basically, of Catholicism. It's understood to be an atheistic mock-up, basically, of Catholicism. Because it's understood to be an atheistic mock-up, basically, of Catholicism.
You need to shut the fuck up!